It's an honor and my privilege to host an eminent panel like you on this very important subject, global robotics, trends, and implications for India's digital future. My name is Avinash, and I'm one of the founders of Global Talent Exchange. We are a global platform mobilizing emerging tech talent from skill-rich areas to areas with skill shortages. Technology today is pushing the boundaries of human possibilities and working towards making life better across the world by accelerating social and financial inclusion. It has also taken on the critical task of making people and the planet healthier. With India emerging as one of the largest technology hubs and companies in India chasing these audacious goals, it brings emerging tech at the forefront. The idea of this series, Technology Game Changers, is to trigger an exchange of viewpoints among experts like yourselves and see how we are placed as a nation to seize the opportunity in each of these emerging tech areas. Robotics and automation economy. We've long seen robots in industry handling repetitive tasks and heavy machinery. But new technologies and moving robots out of the warehouse and into the offices. Collaborative and service robots are already helping firms prepare meals, support workers, assist shoppers, and engage banking customers. Rapid advances in robotics and artificial intelligence are making inroads in the workplace, with machines carrying out physical and cognitive activities. What will this mean to us in today's world? Let's hear it from the experts here. To lead this discussion, we have Mr. Achyuta Ghosh. Achyuta Ghosh has over 19 years of professional experience in analytics, research, and consulting. He's an active technology evangelist and has assisted Fortune 500 companies and investors with strategic insights on digital transformation and its impact on business strategy, future of work, and global sourcing. Achyuta heads research at NASSCOM.
Hello and welcome to this session organized by Global Talent Exchange on global robotic trends and implications for India's digital future. I'm Achyuta Ghosh and I look after research and insights at NASSCOM. Some context about the topic before we get started. The size of the global robotics market, including industrial, non-industrial robots, was more than $100 billion. At a CAGR of over 26 to 30% over the next 5 to 6 years. One of the fastest growing segments, I would think so. The stock of industrial robots was about 2.7 million, and new robotic installations are growing pretty fast, with China, Japan, and US the top markets. At the same time, the automation market is about 200 odd billion. It's double the size of the robotics market today. And many companies, many industries today are automating mundane processes, right? Are using RPA, robotic process automation, to automate everyday rule-based processes. This helps streamline operations, reduce costs, saving time, right? And companies are trying to meet their demands around reducing cost and increasing efficiency, right? From banking to automotive manufacturing, I think we've seen RPA applications present everywhere. And I think the India ecosystem is also coming together. There are a lot of colleges, a lot of institutions who started premier courses around these topics, which actually help drive the skilling ecosystem. It's safe to say that the world since COVID has changed. The pandemic has forced companies and industry to rethink their strategies and push automation at their forefront. Our recent research at NASSCOM also kind of highlights that as one of the key priorities for the industries going forward. Today's discussion is organized with an august panel of speakers from different sectors of the industry who can display a very balanced view on the topics. And things that we would like to cover include, what's happening in the global robotics market, what are the key trends that are out there, how's the India market shaping up when it comes to robotics, how to build India as a robotic talent hub, the skilling angle, how do we really drive development of robotics across the world from India. We are just coming out from one of the biggest pandemics that the world has ever seen, right? So how has the robotics sector responded to the pandemic?
Pandemic has actually accelerated not just robotics as a domain. I would say pandemic has accelerated each and every science or technology domain. Every aspect that you see, people have worked hard, and it's actually triggered something which, in the science community, that they can serve the mankind and take it out of this despair times.
Yeah, so robotics has actually picked up a lot in healthcare, and especially the pandemic has, I would say, given a thrust to robotics and automation and contactless. So actually, I was involved in this research for quite a number of years before the pandemic struck. And what we were trying to do is to digitize care pathways. So as a patient falls sick and his journey to the hospital, his recovery, his return to home, and how he recovers at home. So this is the entire patient journey. So what we try to do is to digitize the entire thing, and we found that there were hardly any buyers for these things before the pandemic. But after the pandemic, it changed the scenario completely. So we now find a lot of people wanting to digitize care pathways. The hospitals are very keen on that. We actually are at present, as we speak, having a very big study at Manipal Hospital in Udupi, where we have a contactless sensor at the reception of the hospital, which measures the vital signs of the patients as they enter, so that the people who come with COVID-like symptoms, they are separated from people who go for normal examinations, maybe a pregnant women coming for their routine checkups and so on, which do not need to get exposed to patients with possible COVID. So a lot of, I would say, a thrust has happened in this area.
Sense, think, connect. And if these four technology aspects are integrated into these advanced machines, they will be able to do the job. And underneath are the various technologies which are making it a reality. So sense, as humans sense things around us using our eyes and ears and our perception about the world around us. Same way, there are technologies which are taking a very speedy penetration into these smart machines or electronic gadgets or semiconductor products through radar technologies, through camera and computer vision technology, and various kinds of sensors from a traditional sensors, whether it is a touch or gravitational, all the way to the small range ultra wideband and NFC and Bluetooth. All these aid into the sensing capabilities of these smart robots. And think about a smart robot either as an automotive, which is trying to run autonomously and trying to predict the path pattern of the pedestrians or the cars, or it is a industrial robot in a warehouse setup, which has the capability to look into the storage and the various inventories that are present using the camera vision technology, and thereby connecting to the ecosystem. So sensor technology is one big technology that will take a huge leap forward in next 1 decade. It already is, but it will get multifold. The second is a think technology. So like human think, after processing the information, they think about it, they do a data processing. The name of the game is data and data analytics, and that's where the new technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning come into picture.
With the automation, I think now the adoption has increased, but where I see biggest shift is where we can give the decision making to the robots, right? And right now people want to be very cautious because there are always two sides of automation, pros and cons. But how much of intelligent automation we can build where decision making is being done by the robot themselves, and we remove the element, and the other element we are seeing is human and bot collaboration. How human and robots collaborate to complete a
automotive sector is already using industrial robots, manufacturing sector is already using the robots, and you would be seeing huge growth in industrial robots in coming time. If we have some surveys been done, almost 200% plus growth you would be seeing in next 10 years time only in manufacturing sector and automobile sector as well, right? Apart from this new sector, especially the healthcare, medical, as somebody already shared certain example, so you can see robotic surgery is there, especially disinfection. Post-pandemic, this has come up as a major requirement. Most of the hospital and companies are adopting this process and solution of disinfection, right? So robots are doing all these processes. That is one. And remote operating system, remote like some operations can be done remotely. That is also again came into the picture. So medical industries again growing, started using this robotics very fast growing industry. Apart from this, if you could see, there are lots of changes in geopolitical scenario, right? So because of this scenario, defense sector is also started utilizing robotics system, especially the autonomous solutions, right? If I say some development in India, they are also making certain projects, like DRD is also already making certain projects wherein some kind of surveillance will be done autonomously, absolutely. And apart from this, not only, and on the border areas, we are developing certain projects which can utilize the some kind of explosive things if that happens. So these are the project which is being developed by the DRDO. Soon you will see in will be in the news itself. So this is what India has done.
So in our case, we, of course, towards the end when the robot works, we go for the cobots. But otherwise, decision making is completely AI, and I mean there are no manual intervention. So from recommendation to final, picking, packing, shipping of the product, everything is taken by the system, right? There is no human intervention. So I think from our perspective, we have solved the decision part. When the actual working happens, that is where the human and robot interaction happens. The key focus area for us is basically to provide a faster delivery, a better, flawless delivery to the consumer. So that is our first focus area. The second one is basically you scale, right? How can you do the stuff in lesser space compared to the other systems? So these are the 2-3 areas where we are, or that is what is driving us to invest heavily on this space.
Dr. Shrutin, you did touch upon the journey, the patient journey, and how you kind of mapped and created robotic impact areas. Would you want to expand on healthcare? Where are the uses of robotics that you see, not only at Philips but also outside of Philips? And where has the development really become faster in the last couple of years?
The healthcare sector in India had a lot of flaws. I'll not go into it. And some of them are real, some of them are, I would say, created by the press. But what everybody realized is that how automation could help during a pandemic, especially in the healthcare. And you see a lot of apps which have come because of vaccination certificates were done on the app. Local people who were not exposed to such technology before also started availing of this technology. So there was a lot of evangelization of technology, democratization due to the pandemic. But apart from that, healthcare has always been a sector which is driven by regulations, as you know. So you would find that we are more adopters of technology. We wait for other industries to actually develop the technology to its, I would say, maximum, and then slowly it percolates into healthcare with lot of regulations. And it is rightfully so, because what happens is that healthcare decision making, though there is a lot of dependence on artificial intelligence to do it, a lot of bias could creep into how these algorithms get developed. So, for example, decision trees or algorithms which where you know exactly how weights are assigned to a particular equation, they are more important from a regulation perspective than using neural networks where nobody knows how the weights get assigned, or computational models. So from that perspective, healthcare, I would say, is extremely regulation driven, especially because of patient safety. And AI models, they need to be very carefully evaluated so that a particular section of society does not get benefited, because in the past, because of various experiences, certain sections of society did get benefited. And if the AI model tries to replicate or mimic what humans were doing in the past and just develop models based on that, then of course you would find that the model would start favoring certain sections. So developing a very ethical AI model, and that would also depend on how robotics evolves. It requires, I would say, a time period before it actually becomes mature in the healthcare sector. But having said that, what has happened is that the healthcare, we started looking at two aspects. So one is robotics in relation to clinical development, and robotics where and automation which are required where in the hospital space for maybe disinfection, like many of the speakers referred to, and other areas where, like say for example, if because many times nuclear medicine drugs are given to cancer patients, and they start emitting radiations for around 6 to 10 hours because the drugs have a very short half-life. But even in those 6 to 10 hours, the healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, relatives of the patients do not need to get exposed to those radiations. And in those areas, robotics has picked up in a large extent, especially robots serving these patients. Robotics in rehabilitation, for example. Having an exoskeleton where people who are sort of having a lack of mobility of certain arms are helped by robots. So all these aspects have developed faster than areas where robots actually or AI actually helps doctors in decision making. That's because of the problems I referred to earlier. So there have been sectors, and what has picked up largely is the human-bot interface. As we see, as surgeons age, so they accumulate a lot of experience, but their physical ability goes down. There are tremors in their hands. They may not be able to stand for long hours. So a lot of companies have gone into robotics during surgery, and especially surgery where it is very difficult to perform, like for example the eye surgery, which requires very small, I would say, stitches to be made on lenses, or where the surgeon cannot see clearly because the field of view itself is very small. So all these areas are very much picked up by robots, but these robots are not fully automated. They are controlled by a surgeon who is sitting a bit away from it. And sometimes the surgeon also could sit geographically away from where the surgery is done. So we are doing certain experiments in that direction, but not into clinical practice so far. But in clinical practice, you see the surgeon sitting in the same room, the robot operating on the patient, but not really the surgeon surrounding the patient as you would have seen before. So these are some of the areas where robotics has picked up, but regulations is something that is very requires careful consideration.
Technology innovation hubs, there are 25 of those created by the government of India, on cyber physical systems, and of course robotics is one part of it. And particularly IIT Delhi has been assigned the collaborative robotics. Talking about medical robots, essentially they are all robots because they do not independently work on themselves. So now coming to that ultrasound, yes, Dr. Supin, we face this difficulty. So that is the reason the AIMS doctor had to come quite handy, and it was under their, location where it was permissible. But now the doctor is very enthusiastic, and he says that other than ultrasound, there are many such application can be done. For example, if I have a mobile X-ray unit carried by this thing, so many of the tasks which otherwise doctors are exposed to the X-ray radiations can be avoided. So now he on his own has taken some initiative, to make a proposal to BIDAC so that new X-ray portable devices using robotics. Coming to medical robotics, the one which IIT Delhi's technology innovation is focusing is in the training purpose as well. Because when you talk about robotics in India, no, we yet not able to develop a full-fledged industrial robot by our own for last 45 years almost. There are many attempts, but still yet unsuccessful. However, for industry, it is not a limitation because they are always able to buy from the foreign market. But being to be able to be Atmanirbhar or to be self-respectful, this is needed. So what we thought is we can take a soft, because India is an IT giant, we all know. So blending IT strength and whatever hardware we can do it. So we thought medical simulation would be one area where India can take a very good leverage.
The change, I believe, is already happening underneath us. So within this whole segment of robotics, the biggest is industrial automation. And I gathered some facts that India has gained the place among the top 10 countries in the world to be having the most robotics installation. So somewhere there is a movement happening, on a ground level, maybe in an ad hoc manner, but together as a country we are going there. And I believe our last 5 years of data also tells that we have doubled the number of industrial robots installation in the country.
Government have already introduced one national research foundation they set up in 2020 just to support researchers in new technology, especially AI and robotics, right? AICRA have also taken lots of initiatives with a few organizations like Boston's and NVIDIA and some other companies as well. We have developed content in new technologies, especially AI and robotics, which is going to be implemented in many of the universities. We already set up a center of excellence in 5 universities, and soon it is going to be rolled out across India, wherein complete all industry 4.0 related technologies, experience and learning systems will be made available there.
Indeed, it was really insightful. A lot of learning for me, especially. I'm sure all of us on the panel, took back something with us. So there's a lot of work for us to do, going forward. We'll have to stay united. The industry, the government, academia will have to come together to make this happen.